Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to June edition of CUSA Consulting Business Power Hour. This edition is special because we're in partnership with the ILaED, and I'm very much excited to be here this morning. My name is Abaniwanda Titilayo. I am the program associate for CUSA Consulting. It's a pleasure to see you all this morning. You are all welcome. Wherever you're joining us from Lagos, Nigeria, or across West Africa, or wherever you're joining us from this morning, we're super excited that you're joining us this morning. And trust me, it's going to be an amazing time of learning about how to export our businesses across African countries, learning about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Thank you all so much for joining. Send me the chats, send me an emoji, send me a wave in the chat box. Let me know that you are here with me this morning. Okay, welcome. I can see you, Grace. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Lua Kemi, thank you so much for joining. Abodru Yodwayo, thank you so much. I can see you. You're all welcome. So excited that everybody's joining in. Thank you so much. Yes, so we're discussing a very important topic for SMEs this morning, which is the importance of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. If you're looking at your business going from one place to another, I mean, importing or exporting your business across various African countries, then you are in for a good time because this agreement is created to help ease the process of transporting your business and your goods from one African country to another. It's like the largest trade organization that we have, comprising of 55 countries across Africa. And this agreement will enable small businesses in various industries, from agriculture to oil and gas, any industry that you are at all. It will ease you the opportunity to be able to transport your business and export to other part of the country. So it's going to be an amazing time learning how we can export our business successfully. And this in turn will help increase the competitiveness of SMEs. It will help them to grow, and then they will be great businesses, because the desire of every small business is to grow, right? The desire of every small business is to expand and make sure that your goods and services are reaching a wider audience. So it's very important. So at this time, we have a very special person who will open our eyes to this African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And she is Dr. Susan. Dr. Susan is the author of the International Copyright Law and Access of Education. She's a professional with over 19 years of experience in women economic, e-commerce, particularly in Asia and Africa. She has worked with various international organizations, comprising of human rights, trade, and she's also an author of many books, journals, articles. She has really done a lot of work when it comes to huge impacts. She's also a PhD holder in international law and policy, and she has been amazing and phenomenal when it comes to contributing to Africa at large. Let's celebrate our guest in the chat box. Let's send an emoji. Let's say that she's welcome. And this, like I said earlier, this edition is brought to you by not just CUSA Consulting, but in partnership with the ILaED, which is an author. So it's an amazing time. Thank you so much, Badr. I see you. Let's send an emoji, let's send a hugs in the chat box while we have our shortly. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us at this time. We are glad to have you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you. Thank you for the introduction. I would like to share my slides. Is it?
Yeah, permission granted. You can go ahead and share your slides.
Just bear with me.
Can you hear me? Okay, just a minute to have her just a little bit issue. So we can keep the welcome coming in the chat box while we wait for her. Let's just welcome her in.
Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? I've been asking. Sorry.
Yes,
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 yes.
yes, we
Realize
can
I
hear
was
you. We can
muted.
see your screen.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, thank you. Unmute, but can you please, do you see my slides or you see my face?
Yes, yes, of course.
What do you see? Because I see my face.
Your screen, yeah, is showing your slide, which is growing your small
Okay,
business.
so so it's my face that is showing on this side, but you see the slide. That's okay. We'll take it like that. So good morning, everyone, and wow, thank you, Kilsa, for that elaborate introduction. And we are so privileged, ILaED, or International Lawyers and Economists for Development. We are privileged to be co-hosting this conversation. I call it a conversation because what I intend to do in the 20 minutes that were allocated to me is just give an introduction to the issues, and then we take it up from there and we exchange. So we look at growing your business using the AfCFTA or the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. But what do we do as ILaED before I start to speak to you? I think it's important to get to know who is speaking to you and what is our interest and what we contribute, or we hope to contribute to this conversation. We support and inspire girls and women to sustain themselves economically through entrepreneurship. I'm mindful that on the platform here, we do not have only women, which is good because women and girls need the support of the men or need to work in partnership. So we welcome them and we do work with them as well. We also provide training and mentoring with a view to skilling and increasing economic capacity like we are doing today. And we provide sustainable technical assistance where we are requested to do so to governments, to different institutions. And our main focus is areas of intellectual property, trade like we are doing today, and African continental free trade area or regional integration platforms like we are doing today. And so we cover mainly sub-Saharan Africa, some parts of Asia and Europe. You can get involved in our work by becoming a member, by volunteering or collaborating with us or donating to our activities, which can all be, not all, but some of them are featured on our website, which the link is just below here. But how do we get involved? How do SMEs benefit or strategize, or can they benefit from the AfCFTA? First, we'll look at our structure, how we'll try to address this question. So we look at the objectives of the AfCFTA and why it's important for MSMEs. I'll use SME because it's shorter, but I'm surely mindful of the M's, the micro businesses. We look at the opportunities and challenges in this agreement or brought forth by this agreement, and how SMEs can actively get involved in it. Then we'll conclude. Kilsa, I hope I'm at the right pace. If I'm too fast, don't hesitate to reach out to me, or too slow, whatever. And the other thing, I forgot to look at the time when I started. So please give me a signal in case I look like I'm going overboard.
All right, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you. So what is the FTA? Someone in the audience, what do we know about this African Continental Free Trade Agreement? Because I will rely on you to help me because I don't see the people, I don't see the screens. Could anyone just give us, just feel, if possible, would be happy to hear from you. What do you think? What do you know about it? Have you heard about it? What do you understand by it? Could someone give it a shot? Please.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Inikwe, and thank you, Ma, for accepting to be our speaker on this program. So, what I understand by this AfTA is that it's an agreement that allows the participating countries, which are African countries, to trade easily by removing all the barriers of trade, including the tariffs and all that, so that the businesses and the participating countries can sell to each other at competitive prices, and at the end of the day, basically grow the African economy.
Well, thank you. That's really brilliant. And she's hit the nail on its head. That's the agreement, the AfCFTA or AfTA, whatever, however you want to call it. It's really an agreement that targets to ease trade. And this leads us to our objectives, which have already actually been summarized in answering what is it, what is the agreement. So it aims to ease trade by creating a single market for goods and services, which are facilitated by free movement of people and goods. Because if people can't move freely, then it doesn't ease the goods and the sale of goods or trading goods and services, unless you're talking of just electronic goods or electronic commerce. There are many objectives listed in Article 3 of the agreement, but I picked out just a few and highlighted those that I think are really, really pertinent to our conversation. So the other objective is to contribute to the movement of capital and natural persons and facilitate investment. And this is, I think, very key to us as SMEs, is how does it facilitate investment? And then the next question will be, if those are the objectives, what is it in that agreement that is important or can be used by the different SMEs? I just want to flag a few statistics here that for us to get a picture of actually what is the kind of area and what is the vastness on and the extent to which this agreement has been accepted or not accepted, and who will be dealing with. It says there are only 10 out of the 55 countries in Africa that have not ratified the agreement. It means they have signed, but they've not yet ratified. If they've signed, it means they agree to it, but it has to be brought into the legal framework of the country. As to borrow commonly used phrase on the continent. It has to be domesticated. So there are 10 countries that have not yet domesticated the agreement, but there are 43 that have signed, or this is supposed to be 43 that have ratified. So 10 that have signed but have not ratified. And there is only one country which has not signed to the agreement. So which means we can't even think of ratification. This pie chart, thanks to Tralak, just summarizes what I've been saying. There are 43 countries that have ratified, and out of the 54 that have signed, there's only one country that has not signed, and that's Somalia. No, Eritrea, sorry. My apologies to Somalia. This is just another way of expressing what I've just said. So we with this in mind, I would like us to keep this in mind so you can see how many countries have ratified. Basically, it's quite a big number, and it's a vast continent. Africa, we range from Cape Verde to the extreme tip of Somalia, from Cape Bon to the Cape of Good Hope, or uh, Cape Town, whatever I want to call it. So there is that area. Let's bear all this in mind. So how then does this agreement become important to the SMEs? How does it open up markets? How does it lead to free movement of labor? And how is that important? Free movement of people and labor, how is that important to SME? One, it is opening up to bigger, more people. You have at least 1.3 billion. By time maybe the SM, by time everything is in place, maybe we'll have more people, more children have been born, more people have become adults. But for now, we are talking of 1.3 billion Africans on the continent. So those are the people that are potential trading partners or consumers of the goods of SMEs. And why I talk of consumers of goods of SMEs, one, we have to think and stress that SMEs in Africa contribute a big chunk of employment, of labor, of consumers. They contribute about 90%. So it's like, it's such big honor, so to say, to have open doors. But let's see how this works out. And it also means if there are this number of people, then there'll be increased wages for unskilled workers, because there's a lot of the informal sector on which the continent depends a lot, but they also for skilled workers. But then it also opens us up to trading partnerships. Now you can trade from Nigeria to SME in Nigeria with an SME in Somalia or South Africa freely, if the opening up is complete. And the other things that there is the agreement envisages to eliminate tariff and non-tariff barriers, and there's a lot of work on that. There's work on trade facilitation to ease cross-border challenges and issues. I saw Freda or Gilsa Consulting, they actually wrote something on LinkedIn about this, the challenges that SMEs face on cross-border, and yet our continent survives a lot on cross-border trade. So the agreement, the AfCFTA, targets to remove that through trade facilitation. And there'll be increase in economies of scales to enhance competition. You have a bigger space to trade in, but it also means there are more people to trade with in that agreement, in that area. So there is competition. Now it's survival for the fittest, let's say. the other benefit would be that there'll be acceleration of economic activity. For example, there's a potential to increase diversification, because when one SME is trading in, let's say, textiles, it would be very unfortunate if everyone on the continent traded on textiles. But if they do it very well, that particular SME, let's call it A, then they can diversify in what they add on, because you look at what the others need. It can remain that the core business is textiles, but then it can be, we can be innovative around how we reach out to customers and how we get more benefit from the market. But there are, of course, challenges when these borders are opened up. There's increased movement or free movement of people and goods and services. There are challenges that come with it. One of them, I alluded to it in the previous slide, is increased competition, because there's opened borders. There, everyone can, hopefully, everyone can locate potential customers and resources and means of where to find the resources. So there is increased competition. But the other thing, which is a challenge, not even just the AfCFTA, but it's a challenge that exists, is accessing finances and finance to run the business, but also finance to just start a business. Those who are planning to start, who want to start new businesses. So that remains a challenge. Of course, there are the political issues which they are yet to be solved, where you have the major economies like Nigeria and South Africa, who have not yet signed the agreement, the free movement of persons, but we hope that they'll do that soon, because if they are not signed, then you have a big chunk of Africans who cannot move freely, or they have to ask, you need visas to move to places or to get your goods in those economies or across their borders. And that will slow down, it slows down trade. Yes, I put this, and with all due respect, I'm not talking about a particular SME, but yes, there's a need for healthy MSEs and MSE sector, because many of them we are still small, they are still struggling, but some are deliberately small. But also there's a need to make them better, but also to improve the skills that target more the big and vast trading environment. Then the other challenge that we can absolute laws here, I mentioned intellectual property because that's my area of specialization, but we have quite a number of them on insurance, on even trade. They need to be updated so that they can align with the agreement. So how can small businesses get actively involved or be actively involved in the AfCFTA? The first one is engage with the ministers of trade, the ministries, because according to the agreement, the ministries of trade and the ministers for trade are responsible for its implementation. Many of these work through regional economic agreements or communities, and they were already doing. So that those are points of reference because they have the experience, but they are smaller and they know what are the needs of their small space. But then the directs or regional economic communities are just building blocks, and the ministers of trade know where and how the issues are and the concerns should be our concerns of SMEs should be voiced to these ministries of trade. That's why I'm saying it's important to engage with them. Challenges, but there are also opportunities, and I think one of them is when we talk about finances. there was affordability, but there's also access. There's the Pan-African payment system. Think about it. If you have to trade with someone from Cape Bo, and we are from the Cape Town, it's important to know how much the currency rate is on the other side. But there is also the other question. If you have to keep changing, there are costs, like there's a commission, there are, besides the risks. So there is this mechanism of the PAS, or the PAPS, or the Pan-African payment system, which allows payment. Actually, it's more seamless, so to use the word. You don't feel the exchange rate. You don't, because a bank, the Afrex bank, takes care of that. So that's information that you can take care of. The other, there's a monitoring system or reporting system that is being set up again, where one can check where the tariffs, where the barriers, where that's available information. There are just a few examples. And there's this, I could conduct research on business and market. It's a vast one. You can't assume that when you're from Uganda, I'm from Uganda, to be unfair if I don't mention that you know everything that happens in Accra, for example, or Ghana, or even in South Africa. So there's need to make the research on the businesses and markets. And there's one thing that I just wanted to point out. For example, SMEs, when the businesses are small, we've talked of diversification, but for a start, it's also important to get good, really good at what we do. And information like this, we are talking of researching on what is available. Information like this can be very useful. Here I have a chart, again, thanks to Tralac, which shows which areas are being traded in, which products are being traded in most in Africa. It doesn't mean that others are not traded. And this gives an idea, where is the SME, or ask yourself, where am I concerned, where am I affected, or where can I contribute, how do I stand? And I think most SMEs fall in this. So in textiles and clothing, plastic, precious stones, different things. And then the task might be, okay, how do I improve it? How do I innovate around what I'm already doing? Or how do I maybe expand horizontally to something else? Or no, these are questions, but we need to first have the information. We are, being actively involved, we still continue, become more competitive in terms of pricing, diversify or add value, which I've just alluded to, adding value, and differentiating, which I've also alluded for. But let's talk about pricing. You see, when you are competing with a big area, within a big area, and so many traders now, price is an attractive factor to a customer or a consumer, but then it shouldn't be to the expense of the business. And for this, we again go back to the previous element, the importance of research, getting to know how is the market and what can be a reasonable price that can attract customers, but also not kill the business. Participate in training, because so many issues will come up, so many new areas, and they've already come up. Even things which look as obvious as crossing the border, we know the challenges there. Some have been pointed out by Kilsa, but then even those, because we are working, there is a work on trade facilitation, for example, things change. So it's important to attend training for quality, for financial literacy, for different things. And I want to flag this Odyssey. I was looking at it and the work they do. They provide free digital education. So that's a place to consider, because it's for free and it's really covering so many, not only Africa, the AfCFTA, or the African Continental Free Trade Area, but also different parts of the world. So it's a place to You learn, but you can also have the opportunity to compare with other parts of the world. The other thing we can do is explore sectors with higher return. I've again mentioned that, but if you can, if the business allows, explore expanding to, or consider expanding to other sectors that can bring higher returns. And just we've shown a slide of where is the most trade taking place in Africa, in what kind of goods. So that might be indicators of where one is likely to get more consumers or customers. But it can also be that there's going to be an overlap. An overload or an over productions, on oversupply. So we might have to explore other sectors that there's not high stiff competition. There's this acquiring both international and domestic certification or recognition. Why is this important, especially for an SME, small business? Why hassle with these legal documents or identity document? Precisely, it's an identity. A certification is an identity which tells about the quality of the work that is being given or offered by that particular enterprise that bears that certification mark. And this will help when there is competition, which is going to be there. We already said, because it's now open. It has always been there, but it will be stiffer. To have, it's important to have that certificate already, because the competition will not and is not only with African enterprises, much as it will be on the African continent. There are already other enterprises, international enterprises, which might, and most of them do already have this certification mark. It's like you just see and say, oh, that one is of a certain quality. So it's very, very important also for our SMEs to come out and say, yes, I bear this quality mark, so believe in my products or whatever, my services. There's another, make a conscious effort to engage in and or trade in African export market. We looked at the different goods that are being traded in, but this picture as the map, it shows, it gives an overview of where exactly most countries are exporting to.
Yeah.
And this, yes, please.
Yes, I can hear you, ma. Please go on.
Okay, where the countries are exporting to most, and let's target to engage in those two. Not just two, but in fact to engage in this market and not just be importers of, for example, products for our business, but also target to export. And talking of exporting, there's just something I've been looking at today. Some of you may be aware that currently the Commonwealth Heads of Governments meeting is taking place.
Yes.
And what does it have to do with this kind of thing? Imagine, so many, there are actually 54 countries in the Commonwealth framework of countries that fall in the Commonwealth, and 19 of those are in Africa. They are meeting in Rwanda. So I would like you to imagine, or just think, as a SME, whatever business you're doing, how would you be contributing or benefiting from this kind of meeting? It's a very big meeting. 54 countries, but there's been a lot. I was just looking at the productions and the way it's organized and say, wow, there's a space here for SMEs.
Yes.
What area, for example, I ask you, the participants, the audience, what would you think could be your contribution, or what could be an area of benefit in this kind of big gathering that is gathering the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and of India, different parts. Yes, I know you're talking about the AfCFTA, but we have that kind of meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone would like to give it a try? Do you see any opportunities? this meeting I'm CHOGM, the Commonwealth Ministers meeting, is just an example. There are so many other big meetings that take place on the continent, but I'll give you the answer. There is the tourism, the small business, the SMEs. There are many of them that are dealing in tourism. This is a place to target, to be participating. How do you participate in things like transport? But to participate in this kind of meetings, you may not be allowed to go on the table, or to even to be actively participating inside. But there are ways to get involved. I just mentioned here the Commonwealth Heads of States meeting or government meeting. There could be areas of in tourism, in catering, in transportation. But the point I'm trying to make is that we need, when we get them our information, we need to know what is going to happen in the next 6 months or even 1 year, and strategize. And this might call for partnering with institutions that are allowed or they are able to access those big meetings, and to see how one can contribute with what might seem little, but in partnership there is power.
Definitely.
In partnering. One thing that has come out in participating actually in these export markets, but also are when there are those big conventions taking place on the continent. One thing that can be useful is actually a platform for SMEs to engage and make their voices heard on the sidelines of these big conferences. SMEs could raise issues to do with trade on the sidelines of this conference. It may not be at the conference, but in newspapers, for example, or on the website. And that's one way of getting actively involved.
Absolutely.
How the AfCFTA would affect us, or what would like to see this kind of thing.
Yes,
so
sure.
This, what I've just said on the previous ties in with the next one, connect.
Yes.
I mentioned that partnerships, there's technology, there's in production, for example, with production processes. There are different ways of connecting. We
Definitely.
cannot do it alone. No SME, not even big companies can do it alone. They partner.
Sure.
So it's important. And the last one I'll say is engage.
Very important.
And participate in the formulation of new laws and protocols. I've given just the example of CHOGM. And with that, I just want to conclude that yes, there are many opportunities in the AfCFTA for SMEs, but they need to be flexible, pragmatic, and intentional with what we are doing and which we want to go. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mark. That has been an amazing time of learning on the importance of the African Continental Trade Agreement. You've also shown us the benefits and how SMEs can be actively involved. Thank you so much. It was such an eye-opening session, right? Thank you so much. So now so if you have questions at this time, if you have comments on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, please do send in your questions. Dr. Susan will do well to answer to them. You can raise a hand. I will take your audio, or we can write it in the chat box. We'll do well to answer your question. So, you mentioned a lot of benefits that SMEs can get from evolving, participating in this African trade agreement. You mentioned the trade facilitation, the economic promotions, and all, but a small business owner who just have like a production company, how can they get direct access to this free trade agreement? Because some of them are so small, right? They're just starting and they don't have that capacity yet to be able to expand in that length. So how do you think these SMEs can actively get to contribute to this agreement?
Thank you. Let me first stop sharing like that I can see the screen. Thank you so much for that question. How can small businesses get involved? I would turn it the other way around and actually turn it to you. You want to get involved, that's one. But also, do you see yourself in the race? That's true. I think we have to start with that. Say, this is for us. This is for SMEs, however small the business is, and they have to be part. If it's a small business, one of the things, SMEs are by definition small. Am I right?
Yes.
We are small. Partnering is one of them, but there's not enough capital. Though I mentioned while I was closing that even big companies partner, you know. But when they're small business, it's very, very important to partner with the institution or with businesses that are doing similar work. And then, of course, in those partnership, you have to be very, very careful that you don't get swallowed up. So a question of trust is very, very important, whom you partner with, and whether to be sure that they have your interests at heart. They just don't want to use you and then eliminate you. So
Very important.
let's take the example of textiles. I take an example, SME in Ghana, with all respect, dealing in Kente. I'm not sure. I'm just inventing. I'm just making it up. Products. Now you want to move them to. There's an open market, so you have to move them to East Africa. It's quite a distance there.
Yeah.
The issues there are the transport. Is it by air or by road? There is a financial cost. There has to be border issues. Those are governments are still working out cross-border issues. But let's talk about the challenges or the things that really depend so much on the SMEs. Now the question, back to the be then that instead of transporting or Frida flying from Nigeria to Kampala, it might have to cooperate with an SME in Kampala to receive the goods. And what they do is just send those goods by train, by boat, yes. That's one of partnership. So now that it will to be about working out the details of how much we pay, what is the responsibility, and what is our advantage. Hello, Miss or Mr. who asked that question. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, Ma. So from your explanation, it is safe to say that SMEs, how they can get actively involved is they can collaborate with other SMEs if they are not so big. So for instance, let's say somebody is into food production and processing, and then you're looking at transporting your business to Ghana, for instance, you can actually reach out to an SME in Ghana who you can collaborate with to help your business or to receive your item over there. So it will like cut down the cost and then help you get a safe market once the trust is established in the partnership, right? If I get that correctly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We have more questions coming in from participants. I'll just go ahead and read this one. And it's saying that how do we go about transportation borders contacts? So if, for example, they want to transport their goods from one place to another, how do they get in contact with the people who are different borders in different countries? Is this something that AfCFTA provide, or how do they get in contact with these border people to enable ease of the import and exports?
Thank you again. You mentioned two issues, the actors, the border people, and the transporters are not necessarily the same people. What the border people are doing is checking whether the goods or the person can cross to the other country, and under what circumstance let you know to control that. But to decide whether you put your goods on a truck, on a train, or fly them by plane, that's not the work of the border person. It's when those vessels get now to the border, and this border might be where the border is, might be the physical, like the border between the Malaba border between Kenya and Uganda. It might be that an office where someone is sitting and doing things electronically and ticking off and marking, and that's why one of the things that actually trade facilitation will be able to do, that borders are actually already, things are cleared. Like sometimes you travel to a country and you get your checking in from your home, but it means there are certain things you have to fulfill. That there are someone on the other side who is cross-checking whether you have the right documents, whether you have. So to answer that question, there was a related question whether I have an idea as to the transportation means of vessels. No, I don't. I can't tell you now use company A or company B, or use a truck or an airplane. But as far as the AfCFTA is concerned, is to let you know is whether that vessel you've chosen can actually cross the other side under what circumstances, and yeah, and what are the costs.
Okay, thank you
I know
so
that's not a
much.
satisfactory answer, but I can't pretend to know the details of of
Okay,
transport. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I'm sure that the person who asked the question, Adeoye Jeremiah, is able to get a little instance. And if you're not clear on the questions and you want further explanation, you can reach us on QSA Consulting via Instagram and also our website at www.qsaconsulting.com. We'll be glad to help you from there to give you further insight into your questions. Okay, Ma, we have more questions coming in. And this person is asking that with the rate of dollar, it's increasing every day due to the exchange rate to other denominations across Africa, then what can be done in respect to that as regard exports for small businesses, because the exchange rate is very high, and some of these companies that ship goods from different African countries, most of them charge very high, especially in dollars. So how can SMEs navigate that?
Thank you. Another question, I would say that I don't have the answer really. But what I would say, we are talking of the exchange rates, which are not really only limited to the AfCFTA. It's a world challenge. And I think the other question would be it's more about how you use the limited resources, because it's a world challenge for now. It's a challenge. Yeah, so I would not pretend to be an expert in world economics, but I just hope that it will change because it's affecting everyone.
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, if you need further insight on your questions, you can please reach out to us in CUSA Consulting. We'll be glad to help you with questions. Okay, so my very important question on AFCA that I would love you to ask, that has been in mind of SMEs, are saying that, so for those countries who have signed these agreements, these AFCA agreements, and are actively involved, what are the economic opportunities that are available to SMEs in these participating countries? And how can they take advantage of that?
Thank you again. Economic opportunities, there are many that I've mentioned. Actually, it's what we've been looking at. What are the benefits? Uh, One, it opens up a bigger market, more people to sell to, And the challenge I put forward to the SM is that see yourself as trading beyond your border because it has been opened. There's an opportunity there. Yes, there's still work being finalized on trade facilitation, on tariff barriers. Those are some of the issues that are things that are being ironed out, they're being oiled, but the agreement envisages that this will be done away with. That's why it's talking about or targeting free movement of goods and services and persons. So the biggest economic opportunity is actually the open market, the bigger area within which to sell or to invest and to transact.
Thank you so much. That was a very awesome response because SMEs knowing that these are the opportunities available to them in countries that are participating in this AfCFTA is very important, just so that they can take advantage of these agreements. Thank you so much, Dr. Susan. We're coming towards the end of the webinar. I mean, it has been an amazing time learning about the African Continental Trade Agreement. Opened our eyes to the benefits to SMEs that are actively involved. We've also opened our eyes to the importance, which is what we've been discussing for a while. And then thank you so much. So we're coming towards the end of the webinar. If you have further questions, you can send it to us after this program. We'll do well to respond to you. And if you want to get the slides, you can also send us a message and the recording get it to you. So on a final note to SMEs and as regard the AfCFTA agreement, what would you say is the key thing that SMEs should take from this webinar when it comes to AfCFTA? What's that two important things that they should hold on to going forward after knowing about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, yes. We just want to hear your final notes, final words to SMEs as regard learning on the African Continental.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I want to stress this seems like a big monster. It's an opening, but it's a good one. It's like a forest where we don't know what is there, but actually there are opportunities to know. So my word to the SMEs is determined to engage, determined to be part of it. Otherwise, you get left behind, and the fact is, you get swallowed up. The business will get swallowed up. There will be other better or more strategic business that will get involved. You may not need to move physically from where you are, but engage with institutions and other SMEs beyond the borders or beyond the local comfort zone or known environment. The FTA is for SMEs, and you have to take it up and engage.
Wow. Thank you so much for that encouragement. I'm sure that a lot of SMEs that are listening are now geared up to read more and know more about the AfCFTA because it gives them the opportunity to expand their business and grow and just import outside Nigeria or whatever they are to other African countries. Thank you so much, Ma, for such an enlightening session. We're so glad that you agree and ALD agreed to do this partnership with CUSA. We are super excited and thank you so much for that insightful session.
Thank you so much.
Do have an awesome weekend.
Yeah, and thanks for hosting us.
Sure.
Thanks to everybody for turning up.
Yes,
you are the reason we are here.
A lot of people are actually saying, Triple DA is sending a shout out to you in the chat box. You can check that. Muideen Olorolano is also sending you a shout out in the chat box. I mean, a lot of people we're super grateful. Thank you so much for an amazing session.
Thank you.
Yes, we
Thank
just
you
have
so much.
Luabukola Aketutu is sending you a shout out in the chat section. Thank you so much. We are have
Thank
an
you.
amazing weekend. And regards to all the family of ILED, a big shout out to them as well.
Thank you. Regards to everybody.
Yes, so this is CUSA Consulting Business Power Hour June edition. It has been an amazing time learning about the AfCFTA, which is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We are so excited that we've learned a lot, and this is an encouragement to all the small businesses who are listening and who has been on from the onset that this agreement is what will enable your business the ease of exporting your goods in and outside of Nigeria. It just avails you the opportunity to expand your business and to grow just beyond the country that you are participating in. Thank you so much for joining us in this time. Thank you so much for taking time out to learn and to be on this program. Yeah, so if you have further questions, contributions, comments, or if you have topics that you want us to talk about on CUSA Business Power Hour, please do well to reach out to us on our website at www.cusaconsulting.com. You can also send us a message on Instagram. You can also reach out to us via Facebook or LinkedIn. We are available on all social media platforms to attend to any questions or challenges that you may face at small business. Thank you so much all for joining. So in our response to small businesses, right, who join us and who actively participate, we reward small business owners who are always on the program with data to support their business. And today, our winners are Triple DA, congratulations, Muhyiddin, and just those two people. Thank you so much. Please send us a message after this program so you can get your gifts. Thank you all so much for joining. It has been an amazing time. See you next month, July, for CUSA Consulting Business Power Hour. Thank you all and have a wonderful weekend.